What's going on YouTube? This is Jim Afanis, aka Viper Magic, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the House of Wolves DLC for Destiny. Now, I did an impressions video a few days ago discussing my thoughts on the game, but I've gotten a little more intimate with it over the weekend and I wanted to give you some more of my thoughts on it. So, Prison of Elders is something that is the new kind of endgame mechanic right now. It replaces the raids. Obviously, there's Trial of Osiris. I'll get to that in a minute. But most people are spending their time on the Prison of Elders. And I have to admit, it is incredibly fun. Having a three-man type strike is very similar to the old content. However, the faster you ramp up the difficulty, the harder it gets exponentially. I can tell you that the 28 matchmaking isn't too bad. When you get to 32, it's getting a little rough, especially with the inclusion of an additional boss battle on the fourth wave. When you get to 34, and I haven't even touched 35, 34 is just insane, the difficulty that it goes to. And I think a lot of people are having a struggle with that, myself included, because most of us are stuck at light level 33. So moving into a 34 strike, or endgame content rather, with 34 enemies obviously puts you at a disadvantage in both damage dealing and damage received. However, I know that that is where the coveted etheric light lays in getting those armor cores and getting those weapon cores, which is going to boost you up. So you have to really go through the fire or try to get a couple people together. Hope to God you get lucky somewhere else so you can hit that hump. I know a lot of my friends, and myself included, are parked right at light level 33 flat right now. And that's solely because we don't have any etheric light to move on. When I do get etheric light finally, and I've been grinding different places trying to get it, but to no avail, unfortunately. When I do get etheric light, it's always the challenge because I'm only going to get one. Do I upgrade a piece of gear knowing that it won't get me to light level 34 immediately? Or do I instead put it in some sort of legendary gear to get that damage number up, hoping that I can do a little more offense, and that may turn the tide. So that's kind of the fun of this game. And obviously the DLC has only been out for a week, but obviously the theory crafting is already running wild. I've been having a ton of fun grinding out for motes of light, only to turn them into the gunsmith and get screwed on my rerolls. Obviously I'm joking, but I do love that mechanic, and it does introduce something new to the game, knowing that you can reroll most of your gear and try to get perks that better suit your playstyle. It is now a perfectionist game, and especially in my case, where there's a couple stats that I really want to see together, and if I only get one perk or the other, I will re-roll because I know I have the chance of getting that perfect roll. Now I obviously have guns that are my go-to guns. I was very fortunate to get a Hawk Moon very early on. I've had Suros Regime with me since a very long time, since my first raid on, I think it was one of my I think it was the first Nightfall I ever did, actually. I got a Suros Regime. And I bounced it out with Icebreaker, which I brought from Zur, and I've been switching around with some of my heavy weapons. Sometimes I use the Song of Ute machine gun, and I also have a rocket launcher, some legendary. I don't remember the name. It's still newer in my inventory. I haven't actually expanded all of its stats quite yet. However, when I do get some of these pulse rifles on the side or fusion rifles on the side, I've been trying really hard to re-roll with a gunsmith and get something, but unfortunately it hasn't worked out quite yet. But that's part of the draw of this game. And you know, the DLC has only been out 1 week, people. I mean, it's not like we have to beat the damn thing tomorrow, okay? We have some time with it. We've only gone through one full cycle of Trials of Osiris, and my hat's off to the people who've successfully completed 9 in a row and gotten to go to Mercury, although the videos of them posting it on Reddit and on the Facebook pages that I frequent are getting a little obnoxious. But that's okay. You want to rub it in my face? I'll tell you what, if I won 9 in a row and I got some sweet-ass loot, I'd be telling you guys about it. So I guess I can respect that in a weird way. Maybe it's more jealousy than anything else. It's definitely mild annoyance. Anyways, I do like what Trial of Osiris is doing. I wish that when you spawned in each map, each part of the map you spawned in somewhere different per round. What ends up happening is you get a lot of repetitious gameplay because teams are unwilling to mix it up. So I'm curious to see how this weekend's going to play out. I believe they're selecting a new map, but I would like to see more random spawn-ins, at least in between the rounds. I think it would make gameplay a little more diverse. I was initially against having only one map played over and over, but now that I've kind of gotten my feet wet the experience, I can understand why they're doing it. It's a level of commonness or consistency is the word I'm looking for, where you're at least that's one less element you have to worry about. Because let's face it, some maps are better than others in competitive gameplay, and I'm curious to see what they pick next and why. Since maps aren't perfectly symmetrical, and that's the other part that's weird to me, where you always spawn into one point or another, because I would think you'd want to be completely random, because it would be a little more fair to some teams than others. But again, I didn't get that far. I was able to snag 2 wins. I didn't use any of my coins or anything to get the mulligan win or the mulligan loss. So I cashed out with 2, and I think I got some glimmer and an armor shader or something maybe. I don't really remember, but it was actually a lot of fun. And obviously grinding through the Prison of Elders has been a ton of fun, and just working my way through all the different content. One thing that I do wish this game had, and I know I've said it quite a lot lately, but I'm going to say it again, is it needs a little better matchmaking in terms of endgame content, and by a little better I mean any. Now, if you don't want us to have complete matchmaking, that's fine, but it would be nice if there was some mechanic in the game, in the reef zone, or in the tower, or somewhere else, where I didn't have to use the Destiny app and spam the boards and then get 500 friend requests via PlayStation, add everybody, try to get groups together. It is kind of an inconvenience. I have been playing with enough people now where I'm starting to get a pretty selective group of close internet friends that I can rely on in a fight, and that I know are a good stick and can kind of hold their own. However, they're not always online, or they've sometimes already done the content, and you have to find other people, and going through the forums is just a complete hassle. So if you guys are listening at Bungie, could you fix that? Because we're not really happy about it. The loot overall, I think, is great. They've added some amazing new perks. Some of the new weapon skins look amazing. I've been spending most of my time grinding out Dead Orbit reputation, and up until now, I've never used Dead Orbit at all. I've only actually stuck with just straight Vanguard or straight Crucible reputation. So to get something new is just a unique experience for me in of itself. However, some of the new Dead Orbit gear looks amazing. So I threw on my towel for my Titan. I think it's called the emblem. I don't know what they call it. Not the emblem. I don't know what the Titan's little towel is called, but I put on my little Dark Orbit towel, and I go around and I'm, representing those guys and working my way up to try to get some Dead Orbit gear. So that's kind of cool. That's something new that for me. Going around the reef was fun. I tell you, some of the most fun I've had right now at the reef is using that little ball in the corner, because if you kick people that aren't in your fire team or in your party, it actually affects them. So there's a lot of people that are vending, over by Petra or over by the vault or whatever, looking in and out of their inventory. And if you have a couple friends, you can kind of use that ball and grief them just a little bit, knock them off the cliff. It is a lot of fun. It's something different to do. And most people are good sports about it. Most people weren't even aware of it, actually. So if you weren't, there you go. Now you know something new. All in all, I have to say this is some pretty solid DLC. I'm actually enjoying it a lot. I don't miss not having a raid, because it's easier for me to get together 2 more buddies than it is to get together 5 more buddies. And I think that even though it's been pretty well played out now, the Prison of Elders, that format is definitely something new. Blowing up the mines or the target acquisition, the burn down, is a lot of fun. And it does get pretty hot and heavy very quickly when you have a Guardian down, and you're, especially endgame, when you have that 30-second respawn timer, and you're basically trying to be a one-man army just to keep the game going just a little bit longer, trying to get that coveted gold chest at the bottom. So all in all, I have to say this is some amazing DLC. I'm curious to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about the new House of Wolves DLC? Does it work for you? Are there things you're missing out on? What do you all think? One last thing I did want to mention before I turn this video off is I love the new multiplayer map on PlayStation that takes place, I believe it's called the European Demilitarized Zone. It is so much fun. It's this old buildings that are just torn down, and you're running in and out of buildings, and it's this very bleak sense of survival. It's got a kind of Gears of War, maybe Dark Souls element to it, where you have all these dilapidated buildings that you're cutting in and out of. I would love to see more of the game explore that type of universe rather than some of these weird post, like the Vex culture or the Cabal culture is interesting, but it's neat to see what humanity had before the war and to go explore some of that because that's familiar and that definitely gives a better sense of this great war that happened. So here's hoping that the next wave of DLC expands upon that, maybe. I'd like to see some more areas on the Earth that we can explore outside the Cosmodrome. So we'll see. That's just my wish list. But anyways, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys think about the expansion, what you like, what you don't like. As always, comment, rate, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Guardians, I will see you guys on the other side.